So, hi there, folks. Mr. Finley here, and I just wanted to make a quick video to go over the fundamentals of acting stuff that we've been going over for the last couple of weeks. As we said in class, there are 6 basic ideas that go into acting. The first 3 of them don't really have anything to do with acting itself. Those are what we call the fundamentals. You'll remember this from that chart in class. They include control of your voice, control of your body, and what we may just call stagecraft. Control of your voice means, can the audience hear you? Are you loud enough? Can you articulate? Do we understand the words you're saying? Control of your body just means, uh, does the body of your character on stage look like that character, or does it just look like, a teenager? Can you anchor yourself? Are you pacing around a lot? And then the stagecraft sort of is a catch-all term for those basic skills that are necessary to be on stage. Things like being able to memorize your lines, things like knowing the difference between stage left and stage right, or upstage and downstage. All those things that you have to know in order to be effective when you're on stage. Those 3 things are not acting. Those are the 3 things you have to do before you can act. Think of it like the foundation of a house. You have to build the foundation first, and the foundation has to be good, or the whole house will fall to pieces. But the foundation isn't the house. The house is what goes on top of that foundation. So those 3 things are very important: control of body, control of voice, and stagecraft. But they're not acting. Acting is then what goes on top of that. And luckily, all of acting can be broken down into just 3 things, 3 very simple things. If you can do these 3 things, you will be a fantastic actor. The only difference between you and the most famous actors out there is that they can do these 3 simple things. Though you may study acting in high school or college, you may go off and get a master's degree, you might go to a conservatory and study acting, you might have acting teachers in New York or Hollywood. They all teach just these 3 things. Now, sometimes they use different names for the same 3 things, and then it seems more complicated than it actually is. But really, it's just 3 things. Number 1, packing. Now, sometimes we call this knowing the character's backstory or their given circumstances. But basically, this is just knowledge of who your character is. You can't pretend to be someone unless you know about that person. And so packing is figuring out information about your character. Sometimes that's going to be provided by the playwright. The playwright might tell you, this character is this many years old, they live in Detroit at this time. Sometimes, though, they will leave blanks. They may not tell you what that character's favorite food is, but maybe you decide that it's important to know what the character's favorite food is. Well, then the actor has the right to make that up. That's what makes every actor's performance of a character, even though it's the same character saying the same lines, slightly different because they have different ideas of the backstory or the packing of that character. Again, these choices affect how you play the character. If you decide a character is really happy-go-lucky and they love life, then their body is going to be more upright. They're going to move around more. They're going to have a much more active up and down voice than if you decide that character is really depressed, really sad, and really low, because that's going to affect their body and their voice as well. They have the same character, maybe the same lines in the play, but those choices you made about their packing determine how you use your body and your voice on stage to create that character. There are lots of ways to go about packing, but the most effective way are Uta Hagen's 9 questions. Those are the 9 questions we did with the monologue. You answer those questions in depth for character, and you'll know pretty much everything there is to know about the character, and that will help you on stage. Problem is, the reason it's called packing is because it's something you do before you go on stage, just like you pack before a trip. When you're actually on stage, you have to actually be acting. You have to be active. And so knowing all the stuff about your character isn't going to be enough. So that gets us to these next 2 things. The second thing on this list of 3 things that make up acting is what we call your objective. This has many different labels for it. Some people call it your motivation. Some people call it your want or your action or your verb. But it basically just means knowing what your character wants every time they're on stage and what they're doing to get that want. A playwright will never put a character on stage that doesn't want something. Wants drive action. They are the engine of a play. So anytime you're on stage, your character wants something. Maybe it's really obvious. Maybe you have to dig a little bit deeper, but it's in there. And then every time they open their mouth, they're doing something. Even maybe it's subconsciously, they're not aware of it, but they are doing something to try and get them closer to that want. So it's two parts. There's the want itself, and that might not even change during a scene. You might have one want for an entire scene, and then you've got the action that you do to get that want. To demonstrate, in a scene, if you have a 4-year-old, that 4-year-old might want a pony. And because 4-year-olds aren't very creative, they'll just do the same thing over and over again to get that pony. Give me a pony, give me a pony, 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 please, 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 please. And it's really annoying and you want to hit them, but you can't because they're 4 years old. Um, that's because they're not changing up the action. Their want stays the same, but they're hitting on the same action. Now, a clever 4-year-old, even though the want stays the same, they want a pony, they may change the action to get that. So when please give me a pony, please, please, please doesn't work, they may say, if you love me, you will give me a pony. Um, it's the same want, it's a different tactic. Annoy, that doesn't work, so I'll be really sweet. And if that doesn't work, if you give me a pony, I won't tell mommy what I saw you doing with the neighbor. Thank you for pony. So a third tactic, blackmail. The want stays the same. They want a pony. But the action, what they're doing to get it, whether that's annoying or sweetly begging or blackmailing, that may change from line to line. So a want is a sort of big over, and you may have a big overall want for the whole play. That's called a super objective. Like in a romantic comedy, the girl might want to be with the guy. That's her super objective for the whole show. But in a given scene, she may just want to, in this scene, I just want to get out of this party. Or in this scene, I just want to get to the airport. Or in this scene, I just want to convince this person to leave me alone. So in any given scene, there may be a sort of sub-want underneath the big super objective. But it's very important that you know what your want is and what on each line you're doing to get that, that is your action or your tactic. And the important thing is, the reason we figure this out is because it gives you something to do on stage. It tells you how to read your lines. If you decide that I want, in this scene, this person to leave me alone, and I decide that my action on this line is to attack that person or insult that person, then that tells me exactly how I have to read that line. And all great acting really is a actor knowing exactly what they're doing with each line and really doing it. The great acting teacher, John Gully, over at UNCG, has this great saying. He says, what you're doing is what you're doing, and the audience sees that. Which means that if your action is to insult, but you don't really insult, you sort of pretend to insult, it's like, you're stupid, then the audience sees that. They see you pretending. Whereas if you decide that your action is to insult and you really go there, you're stupid, then the audience will see that as well. So it's important not only to know what your action is, but to really do it whenever you're on stage. Use those words that the playwright gives you to do that action. Do that, you'll be a great, great actor. The third thing that comes in when you're acting is this idea of reaction. Sometimes this is called talking and listening, or it's called being in the moment, or they might call it kinesthetic response. You remember that term from viewpoints. These are all talking about the same thing. And that is just to allow yourself to react truthfully to the things that happen on stage instead of manufacturing fake responses to the lines and actions of other performers. A really great actor is going to be really listening to the other person on stage. And when that person on stage says, I love you or I hate you, they're going to allow themselves to really react to it. Just like in real life, we don't think about reacting. It just happens. But somehow when we get on stage, because maybe we know what the next line is, we've heard the other person say, I hate you 7,000 times in rehearsal, we stop actually reacting to that. Instead, we pretend to react to it. We make up a reaction. Oh, I'll act really angry because they said, I hate you. Rather than just hearing them say, I hate you, and then responding, oh, it kind of hurts. This is a sort of, it's more difficult, even though it's something we do every single day. We hear things and we react to them. We get an impulse and we react to it. But being able to do this on stage can be kind of challenging. But if you can do this, this is sort of the most difficult and subtlest, and to some people, the most important part of acting. This ability to talk and listen, to let someone say something, and to truly react to it, not to manufacture a reaction, but to really find the truth in that moment. It means that you have to focus on your partner. If you're all up in your head, what's my next line? Where do I have to go? Then when they say their cue line, then you're just going to do the same thing that you always do rather than really reacting to them. True reaction means that you have to focus on your partner. This can be hard for some people. If some people are very much in their head, or if some people have a big ego, and trust me, lots of actors do, it's hard for them to focus on their partner. But one of the core parts of great acting is this idea of reaction. You can't be a great actor without it. You cannot be a great actor without being willing to focus on your partner, listen to them, and then allow yourself to respond truthfully, not to manufacture a response to what they say. So those are the three things that make up acting. Packing or backstory, objective or action, and reaction or talking and listening. Do those three things and you will be an incredible actor, as long as it's built on a foundation of control of body, control of voice, and knowledge of stagecraft. That's it.